Oh hey, the Canon EOS Rebel SL3 is considered one of the best entry-level budget cameras for people who've just started doing YouTube video or streaming, and that's gonna cost you about $560. Same with many other quality DSLR cameras on the market. Now if you're willing to compromise on the quality part, you can find cameras in the 300 price range, and it's a pretty significant investment nonetheless, especially if you're like me, don't know if this whole YouTube thing's gonna work out or not. You might end up with a costly device that you only use occasionally to record quality family video or something. But what if I tell you you are already in possession of a pretty capable camera that can cater to most of your creative needs? That's right. Look no further than into your pocket. Your phone. In your pocket. Today phone's cameras are pretty damn impressive. Most can do 4K 60 FPS video recording, and many are equipped with neat gimmicks like stabilization, slow-mo video, time-lapse, among many others. Sure, DSLR camera do have some advantages that's hard for phone's cameras to overcome, but your phone's camera is free, as in you probably already have a smartphone. And if you're like me, taking $300 to buy a new phone just for its camera, worst case scenario, you still got a pretty decent phone that you can do many things with. Hi, I'm Etanon, and today I'll share with you how I've learned to turn my phone into a studio-grade recording camera in this episode of Chipsticks. So I'm going to divide this video into the hardware part and the software part. The first piece of required hardware is obviously a smartphone, preferably one with a good camera. And when it comes to it, the higher the spec, the better. But if you're the type that can afford a Galaxy S23 or any iPhone, you may as well just buy a dedicated DSLR camera for this. The one I use is the Realme 9 Pro Plus, which I did a review for last time. This phone's camera is pretty good. It is worth the price, and if your phone is of mid-range variety upward, and it came out within the last 2 years, I say it should be good enough for the task. Another thing you should have is an USB cable to connect the phone to your computer. So probably an USB Type-A to USB Type-C cable. And it should be at least 1.5 meters long so you can freely move the phone around. I guess that means you should have a computer too. And it's better to be a laptop for portability, and it has a monitor built in. Shouldn't matter how powerful it is, I think. Another thing about the cable is that if your laptop has an USB 3 port, make sure you get a compatible cable to take advantage of its superior transfer rate. USB 3 is about 10 times faster than USB 2, and is something easily glossed over when choosing a USB cable. So what else is essential? Well, nothing. Everything else is either optional or you can make do with stuff you already have laying around. But I say there are two things that's better to have if you have an extra budget. The first thing is a tripod. It doesn't need to be anything fancy, just a typical camera tripod, and slap a phone holder with a 1/4-inch screw hole on top of it, and you're ready to go. The other thing is an external mic. The problem with phone's mics is that they are usually omnidirectional. So if you have a very well soundproof room, it should be fine to use a phone's mic. But if you're like me, living in a room with paper thin walls, very open to the outer world, the default mic's gonna pick up all kinds of unwanted noises in the environment. In that case, an external mic can certainly help. Just to bring the recording device closer to the voice source is already a big difference. That was one of the big reasons I bought the Realme 9 Pro Plus, since it has a 3.5mm jack, so I can use this mic with it. Now I saw some reviews out there that said that this phone can use external mic. That's not true. Well, if you just directly plug the mic in, it's not going to work. What you need is one of those 3.5mm jack audio and mic splitter. I didn't know that either, but it was mentioned in the manual that came with this cheap Chinese mic. So apparently, the phone's 3.5mm jack is designed for a headset, which includes both headphone and a microphone. And for some technical reason, if you plug a headphone in, it may work just fine, but a separated mic isn't going to. So what you need to do is to plug this audio and mic splitter in your phone's 3.5mm jack, and then plug your external mic in the jack with the mic icon on it, and now the mic is recognized by the phone. You're probably going to need this whether you plug the mic directly to the phone or if you use an OTP USB-C to 3.5mm adapter in case your phone doesn't have a 3.5mm jack. And that's about it for the hardware. Let's move on to the software part where most of the fun is. I forgot to mention, but most of the stuff I try out here are for Android devices. I don't know any Apple stuff, so if you want to do this with your iPhone, there's probably some paid alternatives for those softwares on Apple Store, but you have to find it yourself. Moving on. First and foremost is the app you use for recording. The phone default camera app is always a good option. It is the only option, in fact, if you want to use some special feature of the camera, like slow motion or macro camera. It's really hard for third-party apps to follow different phone brands' hardware. So most of the time, the default app is the safest choice if you want to utilize every aspect of the camera. For normal basic recording stuff, there is a software I recommend though, Open Camera. Open Camera is an open source camera app that you can get on Play Store. And as for the case of most open source software, the potential for customization and personalization is endless if you're willing to go through everything in the setting menu. But even without it, you still get to access most essential features of your phone's camera just from the default screen. By pressing on this 3 dots button, you'll see options to turn on the flash, change the focus mode, image resolution, white balance, and also some basic filters. It is basically equivalent to the Pro mode of the default camera app. You can add more buttons to the screen by pressing on the Cork button, then on the Camera API, and choose the Camera 2 API. Then you go to the on-screen view menu and it will show you all those options. I recommend turning on the face detection icon and the zoom control. Those are pretty convenient to have. Keeping the display on option is also pretty neat if you're annoyed by how the default camera app automatically assists after you don't touch the screen for just a few minutes. Another thing you may want to turn on is this multiple cameras icon. It is important to switch to Camera 2 API and then turn on this one if you want Open Camera to be able to access the phone's ultra-wide or macro camera. Otherwise, all it does is switch between the main front and back camera. This doesn't work for every phone though, since I figure it's hard for the app to follow every brand's hardware, as I mentioned before. It's probably safe if you use a big brand phone like Samsung or Pixel. The app doesn't recognize the ultra-wide camera in the Realme phone I use, but I don't really need it for my use case anyway. One thing I like about using third-party apps like this is it kinda standardize the filming experience between different devices. And the Open Camera Setting Manager can help you save time setting up all the customizations and you switch to another device. That's the basics of Open Camera. We will visit it again later. Now let's move on to the next piece of software. One of the most frustrating things when you just use your phone, or even a normal camera for that matter, is that you don't know how it looks during the recording. If you have someone to do the filming for you, then it's whatever. But back then, when I was recording the first video with just me and a phone, this is how it usually goes. I press record, then walk to my seat, start talking while having no idea how things look, maybe just for a few seconds or so. After that, I'll walk behind the phone to play it back and to see if it looks right. Then press record again and walk back to my seat, rinse and repeat. And after a while, I was like, well, I can be freaked and just went with whatever I managed to record. So the idea is to find a way for me to control the phone camera from my computer. My initial thought is to use OBS, which I have no idea what it does at the time, but I've heard streamers and YouTubers mention it to record in conjunction with another app that lets me use my phone as my webcam. And sure enough, there's many apps that fit the bill. The first one I checked out is DroidCam OBS, mostly because it has OBS in its name, so I figure they work great with each other. The installation is simple. You install the app on your phone, which can be found on Play Store, then install the DroidCam OBS camera plugin on your PC. You can find it on OBS official forum. Then you launch OBS, click on Add Source and you can see DroidCam OBS in the list. Next, you need to open the app on your phone. Connect both your phone and your PC to the same Wi-Fi network. Then in OBS, click on Refresh Device List. Then choose your device name in the drop-down above. Set the resolution, scroll down and click on Activate and bam! Your phone is now a webcam. All left to do is to click Start Recording in OBS. Now one thing you may notice is that it's extremely lucky if you set the resolution higher than 960 to 720, and that's the limit of connecting via Wi-Fi network, I guess. You can probably improve it with direct Wi-Fi or USB connection, but there's no way to adjust the camera settings on PC anyway, so I decided to look for another option. The second software I've tried is Irion Webcam. The install process is similar to DroidCam OBS. You install the app on your phone, then install it on your PC, this time as a separate software/video driver. You can find it on Irion website. Hey, there's an iOS version too. How about that? Now open the app on the phone and on your PC. It will let you connect via Wi-Fi, but we already know how terrible the connection is, so let's not do that. Instead, we'll connect using an USB cable. You might need to enable USB debugging mode on your phone first. Maybe turn off Wi-Fi on your phone too, just in case. And the PC app should recognize it automatically. Yep, that's way smoother. And you can choose the image resolution up to 4K from the PC app. Now in OBS, click on Add Source, choose Video Capture Device and select Irion Webcam in the device list and the image will show up in OBS. Now when you record using OBS, you're restricted to your screen resolution. So if you only own a full HD monitor, there's no point to set the camera resolution to 4K. But I found a way to bypass that. If you have one of those recent graphic cards, you can go to the graphic card device control panel and find the dynamic super resolution feature. What this does is basically emulate a higher resolution screen on a low resolution monitor. And now you are ready to record your video in the highest resolution. There's still no remote control on PC though. You have to buy the Pro version of the app in order to access that feature. Apparently, it's listed in the feature as the DroidCam OBS paid version too. So maybe those two apps are even more similar than I thought. Well, at least USB connection seems more simple on Irion, and the free version watermark is less obnoxious too. So while it's still far from perfect, and the latency in the video feedback is still here and very noticeable too, the Irion app is still the closest thing that lets me achieve the use case I imagined. And it's when I'm about to click on buying the Pro version of the app, I stumbled upon another app that makes me rethink the whole operation. Why did I even think about recording using OBS in the first place? Sure, the recording file go directly to computer hard drive ready for further editing, and that's nice. But then I have to go through the trouble to sync up the audio and video due to the connection latency, and that doesn't seem to be worth it. All I need is a way to see what's going on the phone screen in real time, and a way to control it remotely from my computer, and I can just leave the recording task to the phone. And that's exactly what Visor did. It is basically an app that casts your phone screen to your computer, similar to Samsung Flow, but works with any phone, and can connect via USB cable. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with camera, but as you will see, it turns out to be the perfect app for this use case. Installing Visor is mostly the same with the other two apps. You install it on your phone, you install it on your Windows PC. When you open the app on PC, it will ask you to install a DB driver, so you go and do that. It also tells you to turn on USB debugging in your phone and links to a tutorial of how to do it too. So that's nice if you have known it already. It also works with iOS too, so it seems, but the installation looks way more complicated. Man, I'm glad I don't use Apple stuff. Once you install all the required stuff, just connect the phone to your computer with the USB cable and it will show up in Windows app. Click on the red button and that's it. Now you have full control of your phone from your computer. From here, all that's left to do is to open the camera app of your choosing, and that's where Open Camera comes back to the scene. You can open the phone's default camera app too, but the window won't rotate when you're recording in horizontal mode, so I prefer Open Camera since it does it without any problem. The touching experience is smooth and virtually identical to how it is on the phone with my pen tablet, but I find it kinda janky when I use my mouse. Another way to have smooth control is to cast your PC screen to another tablet and just control it from here. Now you may find the image quality isn't great. That's because the free version has a limit of 1 MB per second connection. But that's not a problem since all you need is a way to remotely control the phone. The recording is still done by the phone itself in full resolution. And damn, it works perfectly. Now I can see what needs to be fixed in the scene in real time. Play back the recorded footage without leaving my seat, and since it's already connected to my computer, I can transfer the recorded footage to my hard drive on the spot if I need more space in my phone. This really does everything I need. Holy moly, but there's more. If you want to use it as your webcam similar to the other apps, you can do that too. Since Visor casts your phone screen to your computer as another window, you can just add it to your OBS scene. Add a crop filter to cut out the window's border, and there you go. There's a bunch of buttons on the screen, no problem. Go to Open Camera settings and turn on the immersive mode in the on-screen view menu, and everything's gone until you touch the screen again. Now you may find the image quality a bit lacking and there's a slight latency, but unless you are an e-girl or a female Twitch streamer, I would say you can totally get away with it, since you're probably just in a small corner of the screen anyway. If you want better image quality and higher speed connection, you can buy the Pro version of the app. If there's any app that worth paying money for, I'd say this is. You can buy it permanently too, and that's great. The Pro version also comes with a camera plugin too. That sounds like it can be useful. I won't know it though, since I'm totally fine with using the free version. I mean, it does everything I need it to do, and there's no watermark, so also I'm kind of a cheapskate. And that's it for the first episode of Cheapskate. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you find the video useful. Let me know in the comments if it's really cheap for you or if you know a way to do it better. This isn't actually the first idea that fits the chip's text description, but it just somehow came to me from a way I tried to use a phone camera. And since then, I came up with a bunch of other ideas for cheap alternative text. So please support if you want to see more content like this. And I'll see you in the next one. See ya.